That is my audience. My name is Taylor Bryant, and this is my informative speech on PTSD. PTSD, what does it stand for, and more importantly, what is it? PTSD is an abbreviation for post-traumatic stress disorder. The Mayo Clinic describes it as a disorder in which a person has difficulty recovering after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event. The condition may last months or years, with triggers that can bring back memories of the trauma, accompanied by intense emotional and physical reactions. When looking at the main symptom recognized by the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, it is re-experiencing the trauma through intrusive, distressing recollection of events, flashbacks, and nightmares, as well as emotional numbness and avoidance to places, people, and activities that are reminders of the trauma. According to the Sidron Institute, 70% of adults experience at least one traumatic event in their lifetime. 20% of people who experience a traumatic event will develop PTSD. 1 in 13 people will develop this disorder at some point in their lives. An estimated 1 out of 9 women will get PTSD at some point in their lives. Women are about twice as likely as men to develop PTSD. I was diagnosed with PTSD a couple of years ago and have done a lot of research to become informed about my diagnosis. I feel it is important to educate myself as well as help to educate others I am close to. I can use what I have learned through my research as well as my own personal journey to shape a total picture. I would like to walk you through what a day with PTSD can look like, including maintaining gainful employment, doing daily activities, and having relationships. What does having a career with a PTSD diagnosis mean? Depending on the severity of symptoms, it can be impossible. These people typically go on disability benefits since it is recognized by the ADA and Social Security. I have gone through periods of time where I could not work because of this, but as I sought help and saw symptom improvement, I realized I was capable of having a job, but it had to be the right job for me. It can be very difficult to find a good fit. There are triggers that you don't even recognize you have until you are in the situation. Things like schedules can affect sleep and stability, which is extremely important to people with PTSD because it makes them feel safe. Being with coworkers who may not understand or make you feel uncomfortable and could possibly be triggers for your PTSD. All of this you have to understand before committing to a job and making it the right fit for you. Accommodations are legally required, but a lot of people think of them as not important or something silly that really doesn't qualify as a disability because they can't see it. Symptoms of PTSD can cause attendance issues and lead to unemployment or underemployment. An example of this is when I was seeking accommodations at Stop and Shop. I was being forced to work on the front end with customers in a cashier lane that made me feel uncomfortable because of the close quarters and so many people around me that I did not feel safe. And I had to fight with the manager to have him recognize my disability and give me accommodations for such. Another major impact of PTSD is just how it shapes your day-to-day life. Appointments and simple errands can become high-stress situations. There are triggers that are uncontrollable in public and can lead you to completely avoiding them altogether. There is also a high comorbidity rate with PTSD. These people often suffer from other mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. An example of this is things as simple as going out to eat, and it's supposed to be something that you enjoy, but it can be a very overwhelming experience at times due to the sound, due to how many people are there, if it's crowded, if a certain smell can trigger you. Anything can happen. My first time of having an anxiety attack was in a Chili's, and I just felt like something very wrong was going to happen. I kept telling my mom this, and I had no idea what or why, but I just felt like something was wrong. And that is, pretty textbook PTSD symptoms and an anxiety disorder. The relationships with family and friends and strangers are all affected by someone suffering with PTSD. It is hard to trust people and make new friends, and it can strain already created relationships. Symptoms like irritability, self-sabotaging, and isolation can create harmful patterns that are difficult to break. The National Center for PTSD gives a straightforward explanation of how the disorder can affect relationships. Trauma survivors with PTSD may have trouble with their close family relationships or friendships. The symptoms of PTSD can cause problems with trust, closeness, communication, and problem solving. These problems may affect the way the survivor acts with others. In turn, the way a loved one responds to him or her affects the trauma survivor. A circular pattern can develop that may sometimes harm relationships. It is essential to be open and honest to build safe, strong relationships with those you do trust, and trying to push yourself to be open to finding other people you trust. This can be one of the only ways to break the negative pattern that you have created so far in your life. As I come to the end of my speech, I hope I have given you a better understanding of what PTSD is and how it can affect every aspect of your life. How you make a living, the daily errands everyone must do, and every relationship can be impacted by PTSD. I hope you understand a little better about what this diagnosis is and the positive influence you can have on those who suffer from PTSD by being an advocate of support. Thank you.
Yay.